What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast. Tonight is part two of episode number 88, where we're going to close out week 17. With me once again tonight is our commissioner and our three-time Bigs champion, Ben Nisman. Benny, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. Looking forward to more, man. We got a lot to discuss here. More insanity, more craziness, and we're going to be grinding out these last 5 weeks. Mostly the 11 of us, but we'll definitely be sweating it out. That's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's dive right into it. Let's get into this and close out week 17 because it was a wild week and we have a lot to talk about. Let's start here with your matchup, sir. Where you take a big 17-2 stomping over Brian Lebo. If it hasn't already been done, it ends his season and puts you into a great spot in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, I would say more than likely, and I'm one of those guys that's pretty pessimistic. But I think I could basically just play a little around 500 and still have a comfortable playoff spot right now. So, as far as being in the top six, I'm more confident than ever that I'm going for the third year in a row, which is really exciting. It's just a matter of, can I get one of those top two spots? Can I have the bye? Because it's just so important. And I know the difference between winning a championship and not winning could lie in being already automatically in the final four.
Yeah, yeah, and like we said, it's going to be a dogfight for those two top spots. So it should be a fun ride. The only thing that changed on Sunday was Lebo tying up wins on Sunday. Otherwise, everything stayed the same. Uh, Close categories here. You win by the double. You win by 3 homers by a batter. Nope.
Or seven.
You win 7, but that's not close. It's one double, two losses, 2 saves, 2 homers allowed, and a relief appearance. Brian didn't win either of his categories. Very close. 4 walks, I guess you can call it. And you guys tied in triples and in wins. Ben, sir, on your bench, you go 18 for 65.
Um, what is it, like 262?
277. 8 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 11 RBIs, 9 walks, 10 strikeouts, 2 errors. The walks are the only thing that plays because it's the only category that you really didn't win this week, but walks are walks. Let's hit on your moves real quick. You did use all 12, it looks like. You dropped Michael Grove for Julian Merriweather, gave you an inning, a strikeout, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. Dropped Eddie Rosario for Jason Shreve, an inning and a relief appearance. Dropped Shreve for Tyler Rogers, an inning, a whip, and a relief appearance. Dropped Andrew Chafin for Chris Taylor, 1 for 4 with an RBI and 2 strikeouts. Dropped Trevor Richards, who hit the IL, for Jock Peterson, over 3 with a walk and a strikeout. Dropped Merriweather for Colin Rea, 4 innings, a loss, 2 homers, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 13.50 and a 2.75, and a trip to the minor leagues. Dropped Jock Peterson for Ryan Brazier, inning, a win, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. And dropped Tyler Rogers for Alex Vesia, an inning, a walk, a 9 and a 2 over a relief appearance. Dropped Vesia for Tyler Holton, an inning, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. Dropped Holton for Johan Oviedo, which was a bluff. Dropped Tyler McGill for Luis Medina, which was a bluff, and dropped Medina for Luis Garcia, who gave you 2/3 of an inning, a walk, a strikeout, a 3 whip, and a relief appearance. All 12 ads, 2 hitters, 3 starters, 7 relievers. Any of those you want to hit on?
Personally, the fact that on most of the days that I picked up a reliever, they came in on the day. Like I basically was hitting on relief appearance each and every time, and that felt pretty good. I'm going to get into my final ad, which was a reliever, when we get into when we go deeper into the matchup. But I would say the one thing that I'm a little bummed out about is that the Mets lineup came out really, really late on Monday. Like no, was it Monday? No, it was Tuesday. Tuesday's Mets lineup, for whatever reason, came out really late to the point where it was too late for me to replace Nimmo with another center fielder, and Nimmo was scratched. So I was
Yeah.
thinking, okay, you know what? It's Tuesday. Do I really need to get that center fielder today? Nah. But the center fielder that I would have gotten, that super utility man, Chris Taylor, if I had gotten him a day early, 4 walks in that game against Oakland, 4. And that starts me in the right direction of win walks, or at least tie it. If I make that add there, Jason, I end up potentially winning walks, because all I need to do is get one more of the 9 that I left on the bench.
Yeah.
One thing that I do want to point out that's pretty funny about this matchup, if you look the two stats that Brian actually got, walks and strikeouts. What the hell have I built my team around this entire season? Walking
Uh-huh.
and not striking out. And ironically, those are the two stats that I lose. There's a bit of a frustration, but I really can't get on myself too much. It's a plus 15. And there are some things that happen late in the week when we'll get into it that makes me want to kick myself a little bit. But again, I'm very satisfied with this one.
Yep. And yeah, Tuesday was the trade deadline in baseball, and so I think a lot of the lineups came out late. The Mets in particular, because of the Nimmo injury, they probably didn't know if he could go, who was going to replace him. Everything was going on like a million miles an hour. So yeah, Tuesday was a tough day from a fantasy perspective, all over the place. For your key players, your MVP is going to be Juan Soto, 385 with a 429 on base, 6 runs, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and an error. The least
Can
valuable
I make
hitter
a shout
is
out though? I want to make a
yeah,
shout out
yeah,
to
absolutely.
one player, because although I agree with you, without Soto's contribution, not winning home runs, not winning RBIs, on base percentage, he won it by himself. So yes, I would absolutely agree. Juan Soto has to be the guy. But I gotta say, man, the shortstop that I brought in since I let go of the whole John Birdie, Kike Hernandez thing, this guy CJ Abrams has been pretty awesome for me. He got 3 stolen bases, right? Now, if there wasn't a late one that didn't come from Chris Taylor, he wins that category for me. And then the other one, so this is huge, because doubles was a tight category going into Sunday. And I was up by 2, and Brian got a couple of them on
Yep.
Sunday. And then all of a sudden we're like tied, and I'm like, shit. Like, I did leave it. How many doubles did you say I left on the bench this week?
It was 2. Yeah.
2. Okay, but I remembered them. I knew that they were there. I think it was a Josh Bell or something. Anyway, um, I'm thinking, like, come on, baseball gods, like, just give me one. Like find a way to get me a double late here. And CJ Abrams, in his last at bat on a 4-hit day, he hits a double in his last at bat, and I take that category. So, for the amount of times that I'm on this show and I complain about how this opponent was able to tie me in the very, very late part of the day or on Sunday, the Sunday triple, I finally got one fall in my favor. I shouldn't say finally, but this is one that I was like, come on, please give it to me. And it happened.
Yeah, yeah. Abrams has been red hot really since the All-Star break. He's kind of turned it on to another gear, which is cool. Great pickup for you.
But least
The
valuable.
least valuable is Jeff McNeil, 111 with 111, 2 runs, and that's it for the entire week. On the pitching side, the Cy Young is going to go to Kenta Maeda, 6 innings, a win, a homer, 7 strikeouts, a 150 and 033. And the Cy Young is going to go to another Met, Tyler McGill, who pitched 4 2/3, a loss, 2 homers, 3 strikeouts, a 964 and a 193. God, I know the Mets don't have many other options, but I can't stand to see him pitch another game this season.
Yeah. No, he's very, very disappointed. I feel like he's just regressed over the
Yeah,
last couple of years.
absolutely. All right, flipping over to Brian Lebo's team this week. On his bench, he goes 5 for 19.
is it if for 20 is 250. So is it 265?
It's 263.
Ah,
263, 3 runs, 1 homer, 4 RBIs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 2 errors. Um, None of that plays. So so that worked out. Um, for his moves this week, he did use all 12. He drops Ramon Laureano for Mike Moustakas, 1 for 3 with a double and a walk. Drops Rich Hill for Jake Myers, 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored. Drops Brendan Donovan. That trade it ends up not working out because Donovan is out for the year. He picks up Ben Lively, 4 innings, a loss, 4 homers, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 29.25 and a 3.75 against the Cubs. Ew. Picks up Caleb Thielbar, inning pitched, 2 strikeouts and a relief appearance, and picks up Spencer Torkelson, 1 for 2 with 2 walks. Drops Lively and Moustakas, picks up Cole Reagan, 6 innings, a win, a walk, 8 strikeouts, a 1.33 whip against our Mets. That was hard to watch. Drops Torkelson for Zach Thompson, an inning, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance, and adds Matt Wallner over 3 with a strikeout. Drops Zach Thompson for Adam Wainwright for the second week in a row, 3 innings, a loss, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 21 and a 3.67 against the Rockies. Drops Wainwright for Trent Grisham, 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 strikeouts. And then on Sunday, he adds Sal Frelick 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. And he adds Joey Votto, who hits the solo home run, but it doesn't really matter. Use all 12 ads, 7 hitters, 3 starters, 2 relievers. His key players, I was given nobody. I'm going to throw it to Trey Turner. The 179 and the 233 are not very good, but 4 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Not terrible. And he's starting to turn it back on a little bit. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come for him. The least valuable hitter is going to be Brian Hayes, 067 with 063, just an RBI, 6 strikeouts, and an error. That's awful. The Cy Young is going to be the aforementioned Cole Reagans for doing what he did against the Mets. 6 innings, a win, nothing earned, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. And the Cy Young is that Ben Lively guy for throwing a 29.25 ERA in 4 innings. That was horrible. Ben, I'm going to give the floor to you.
okay. So firstly, I'm going to call him Blake Lively because I don't think he deserves to share the same first name with me after that performance. I mean, that was about the worst pitching I've ever seen in my life. Like, as far as just not being able to get an out, I felt like it was like 7 or 8 had already reached before he even got an out. And was it, is David Bell their manager? He was basically like, all right, go back out there, kid, figure it out. Second inning, third inning, continuing to give up bombs. And I mean, you've kind of seen our setup. We have like a 4 TV setup watching this game. We have this one little TV that's maybe like 13 inches, right? And that's what we put it on because one of our friends had actually bet on that Cubs Cardinals game. He had bet the Reds were going to win. So, like, even though that's the small TV, I was pretty glued to that, and so was he because of the lively start. And man, like it was shining bright, like it was the biggest TV in the room because it was like, oh my God, wait, is this enough? I can't believe it. So once that start happens, once the decision was made by Brian to start this guy, it really made my life a lot easier. I could just basically start anybody, and navigate around that because I was never going to lose ERA and whip at that point. So I was just basically going all in. But I give Brian a ton of credit here because he did use 12 ads. Like, despite what's going on with his team this year, he still makes you work. Like, he still makes you think about where to delegate the ads. And I got some lucky wins here. You think about the 4 wins. I got 1 from a starter in Maeda. There was 1 from Carlos Hernandez, right? If you remember this game against the Mets in extra innings, where he's coming in for the save, and then Alvarez hits a 2-run bomb off of him, and it's like he had a terrible game, and then we go to the other side, and then the Royals score a couple, and then he ends up getting the win that way. Like it's kind of a bullshit win. I picked up Ryan Brazier. He got me a win. One of my wins came from Nick Martinez out of the bullpen. 3 wins of mine come out of the bullpen. So when you think about it that way, it's kind of selfish to look back and say, "Oh, I can't believe Brian got that cheap win on Sunday because of what happened in that Seattle Mariners Twins game." So that game it was such a tight game. And then Thielbar comes in and just like, "Oh, okay. Like, this guy is going to come in because it's a tight game." And he tossed up a home run, right? Now he's on the hook for the loss, right? And at that point, it's like, sweet, it's looking good now. The only thing he's done at this point is tie relief appearances. Here comes Seawald into the game to close it out. 2 bombs, he takes the loss. Thielbar falls into the win, and he ties wins against me. And there I have Oviedo sitting on the bench with a beautiful game in Miller Park against the Brewers. If I had just started him, I get the win. Well, going into the day, Jason, I'm up by 1 home run given up. Why the hell am I going to start Oviedo when I have innings wrapped up, I have strikeouts wrapped up, and the only reason I picked up him and Medina was to see if Brian Lebo would do the same. I stuck to guys that were starting later in the day and said, "Let me see how you do it. And if you start your guys, I can watch, and then I'll decide to start my guys." He never used an ad on a starter. So I was like, okay, why the hell am I going to do this? So yeah, they were meant, and they were a good bluff. And there was just no logical way that I could start Oviedo, even though I knew that he was I picked 2 guys that were pretty good without giving up home runs, And as you can see, Medina had a bad day, not 1 bomb given up though, right? So my brain was in the right place, but I just couldn't take that risk. So there's that win that I needed. Okay, he gets that win. He's tied wins. And I'm waiting so late in the day to use that final ad as long as I can, because I'm thinking, you know what? He's got Grisham left, right? Who's got 26 or 27 doubles. And I've got Soto and Chris Taylor left. So it's 2-on-1, but his guy's got more doubles than both of my guys combined. Like any one of us can hit a double. There's one catcher left, Austin Barnes, who has 2 doubles on the year. So in 114 at bats. So I could use that just to protect doubles, which I have the lead. Once that win happens and he ties relief appearances, I wait very, very late to use that final ad. And I use it on
Luis Garcia. I noticed.
Right. And
trust me, I noticed. Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? It was either him or I think it was Nancy Almonte who would be going for the 2nd day in a row. And I really thought hard. It's between those 2 guys and Barnes. And I was just like, it's Garcia, and it worked. And I was very fortunate because at the time, that could have just not happened. It just could have been a wasted ad, but I felt like I used it in the right spot versus using it for the following week after the bell. It worked out really well. So it felt like I couldn't have done any better as far as the ads go, unless you want to say, Chris Taylor on Tuesday, 4 walks. But if I don't do that, maybe I don't win relief appearances. Maybe I go in a different direction completely. But every reliever I went for, boom, on the day, getting a reliever. I used 7, you said, and on the day I was getting it, I churned them out, and I only won it by 1. So I felt like I did about as good as I could as far as on the offensive side, which wasn't that challenging. Brian basically didn't hit a lick with his 219 average and a 285 OBP. 3 home runs. It really wasn't hard to beat these stats, but on the pitching side, I still needed to play fairly smart. So, again, this thing was kind of handed to me, but I still had to play the game right.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and to your point, like that's kind of been, I feel like that's been Brian's bugaboo all season, is that I've seen multiple weeks where he's had 3 home runs, 4 home runs, no home runs. The offense just was not there for him this year at all, and that, I think that was the big downfall for him this year. Um, as for you, sir, well, you sit here in second place. What are you? You're like two games
46
back of
over.
Mike Haber. Huh?
Yeah, I think I'm 46 over 500 or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's in two
yeah.
games out of first place. Uh, your schedule is not great, but it's interesting. How are you feeling?
Well, obviously, this week was something that I was feeling good about against Ari Nisman, but my team hasn't hit a lick for 3 days, so it's going to be tough. Josh Haber on the following week, that's going to be probably, the most challenging, because if I can at least not get blown out by him, I think that cements me into the playoffs. And then Matt Losi follows. That should be a win. And then Mike Haber, and I finish against you, sir. Yeah, it's not the easiest of schedules, but I feel like when we compare it to some of the other ones, it's on the easier side, given that I have Ari and that I have Matt Losi. I would say I'm grateful for that, at least. So it's feeling good as far as a playoff spot, but I want that bye very badly. And a guy named Mike Haber, a guy named Henry Collins, a guy named Bobby Russo, those guys stand in my way. And I think it's going to be a dogfight with the four of us for 2 spots.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait to see how that finishes out. I got my popcorn ready to go, waiting for these last 5 weeks to see how it plays out. Any final comments on this matchup before we move on?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, it's always an honor playing against Brian, and the score does not indicate how much of a challenge it still is, how hard you have to work, because the guy's still making 12 ads, and you have to go off that. It was just that the one unfortunate ad of using it on Blake Lively, that was the difference maker. And once that happened, I had the week one on Tuesday.
Yep. Yep, that was a rough outing for that guy, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah. It
see.
was much. I'm sure it was much more rough on him than it was for Brian, for David Bell, for the fans. Like the one that
Well,
feels the worst is Blake Lively.
I'm pretty sure that guy ended up on the injured list after that start,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, and so to your point of David Bell just keeping him out there, very Mark Pryor-ish, like just throw and break your arm and it's fine.
We'll we'll use you when you're back, kid. We got other arms later.
Exactly, yeah. All right, let's move on to our next matchup, and that's going to be James McCloskey taking a 12-6 win over Mike Sherman this week. What's here?
Well, firstly, you got to tip your cap here to James McCloskey, who has really had an awesome season. He's 10 over 500. He's had some challenging matchups that he's come on top of. He started the season like really hot. I feel like it was like a 6-1 beginning or something, like really good. And then he started to tail off a little bit. Now, one point, I think this matchup was something like 14-5. He actually had it bigger.
Yeah,
And Mike Sherman closed the gap a little bit, but it's still a double up. And I give him a ton of credit, man, because again, like Joe and I on a couple of shows have said, like, we think this guy is out. If we had a gun to our head to say if he's in or out, we'd probably say he's out. But he continues to stay in this race, and he's a couple of blowouts away from punching his ticket. So, I mean, for not for nothing, Mike Sherman has been a pain in the butt to a lot of managers. He's beaten you, he's beaten Bobby, he's beaten Joe Schubert. Mike Sherman, though the record is not good, it's a 22 games under, it's still, you when you can beat a guy like that who's still making acts, who's still checking his team every day, it's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, yeah, it was 14-6 coming into Sunday. On Sunday, James tied homers, and he tied homers by a batter, and he tied homers by a pitcher. Mike had given up 4, and Mike also lost walks. Mike walked 11 guys on Sunday, but that otherwise Mike flipped stolen bases. He flipped errors. He flipped innings. He had a really good Sunday to kind of close this gap and make it, a little bit less, a little bit smaller than it was coming into Sunday. Close categories. James wins by the win, and he wins by a save, the only save of the matchup. Mike Sherman wins by 2 triples, a steal, an error, and 5 strikeouts by a pitcher, and they tied in homers and losses. For James McCloskey on the bench, he goes 15 for 58.
I'll tell you something. I gotta say that I've been pretty decent at this. You even gave me a little bit of acknowledgement and credit last show, so I appreciate it.
You're. I mean, if you could say, if this was like Price is Right, dude, you'd be on the stage more often than not.
Thank you. 15 for 58.
Yeah.
265.
259, 4 runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, 8 walks, and 15 strikeouts. The only thing, so the home runs, obviously play because they tied. They were tough to get in. He had Corey Seager on the bench on Wednesday. He was just coming back from injury, so I can understand maybe not starting him. But I feel like if he's in the lineup for the Rangers, you kind of put him in. He's been one of the best hitters all season long when he's healthy. The only other thing was the stolen base came from Tim Anderson. Again, tough to get in. And also benched 15 strikeouts, which would have, if he had played all those, that would have changed that category. So good job there. He did only use 3 adds this week. He added Zach Neto, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Added Ryan Nelson, 6 and 2/3, a homer, 3 walks, 1 strikeout, a 270 and a 120 against the Giants. He dropped Neto and picked up Zach Littell. 6 innings, a win, a walk, a strikeout, 0.67 whip, nothing earned against Detroit. 3 adds, 1 hitter, 2 starters. His MVP this week, pick your favorite, because he kind of like went all over the place this week. Adalis Garcia, 421 with a 542, 9 runs, a double, 4 homers, 5 RBIs, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts. I mean, Ryan Mountcastle had an incredible week with 667 and 652. Like, what? Shohei had a great week, despite the 10 strikeouts. He had a 500 on base, even with 10 strikeouts. Like, his offense just Yep, Alec Bohm, 414 to 469. The offense just went off this week.
Yeah, Ha-Sung Kim, from the time that he's picked him up, I couldn't, I mean, it's hard to find those stats, but like, the guy was like just floating around free agency until one Monday where James was playing against Frank. And then the guy hits like 2 bombs. And like since then, it's just insane. But like, look at these numbers: 421 average this week, a 542 on base. The guy is on base over 50% of the time. 4 runs, a ding dong, 2 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts. The reason why James McCloskey has been in this race this long is he slam dunked on these hitters, specifically the ones that he's drafted, but then also like trading for Corey Seager and Anthony Santander helped as well. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a deep freaking offense, like top to bottom 1 through 9, but then also on the bench, like whoever he flips out is dangerous as well. What an offensive team this is.
Yeah. Except for Hunter Renfroe this week, he didn't really show up. 148 with a 207, a run, a double, 2 RBIs, a walk, 10 strikeouts, and an error. So he didn't really show up this week, but who cares? Like when the rest of your lineup does this, so what? Like that's
Yeah,
okay.
it's kind of amazing that he didn't win home runs throughout all of this.
Yeah, it's very true. Um, for the Cy Young, I was given Zach Littell really, and I'm saying no, not Zach Littell. I'm giving it to Sonny Gray. 7 innings, a win, a homer, no walks, 8 strikeouts, a 2.57 and 0.71. Just because it was a tougher opponent. Littell was against Detroit. I think this was against Arizona, I believe, or St. Louis. So I give it to Sonny Gray, not Zach Littell, but Littell had a good outing as well. The Cy Young is no longer on the team, and that's going to be Luis Severino. 4 innings, a loss, 2 homers, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, an 11.25 and a 2. And who knows what the future holds for this guy.
Yeah, he was bad. I mean, we're talking right now during his start, and he already had coughed up, I think, 3 runs in the first couple innings against the White Sox.
Yeah, he is not good anymore.
No, on a
For Mike
contract
Sherman,
year,
huh?
on a walk year too. Like
Yeah, right, yeah.
usually you see guys flourish in their walk year. Like, what kind of contract is this poor bastard gonna get?
He's walking off a cliff, is what he's doing.
Yeah.
For Mike Sherman on the bench, he goes 7 for 25.
Um. Uh, 288.
280. It's an even 280. 8 runs, 3 doubles, 1 homer, 6 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts, and 2 errors. 2 errors are key because that would have flipped that category. But the home run came from Mike Talkman on Tuesday. It's tough to get in this lineup when you have, guys like, Pham and Acuna. So tough to get that guy in. He used 3 ads. All of them came on Sunday. And this is where things got a little crazy. So he dropped Clark Schmidt and Mike Clevenger. He picks up Chase Silseth, Lyon Richardson, and Dallas Keuchel. Yes, that Dallas Keuchel. Silseth gives him 7 innings, 2 homers allowed, a walk, 12 strikeouts, a 2.57 and 0.71 against Seattle. Lyon Richardson gives him 3 innings, a loss, 2 homers allowed, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 12 and a 2.33 against Washington. And Dallas Keuchel, yes, that Dallas Keuchel, 5 innings, 2 walks, a 180 and a 2 against Arizona. And this is where it got a little nuts because like the 7 innings and the 12 strikeouts from Silseth gave him those categories. But he gave up 4 homers and a loss amongst those 3 outings and those categories. So it was just it was an interesting turn of events. That's how he used the his only ads of the week were those 3 guys, and they played a key part in this matchup.
Yeah, you wonder, would you rather have the 2 wins of strikeouts and innings and tying 2 categories, or having 2 wins and 2 losses? I think if you're avoiding a loss on all 4, you could argue that this was the better decision for him to use these 3 ads that way. He didn't even take 1 loss of these 4 categories.
Yeah. I think overall it worked out. It was just curious and interesting that these are the guys. Dallas Keuchel hasn't pitched in forever. Lyon Richardson, what team?
I don't even.
Exactly.
Detroit.
And Chase Silseth, who's been okay. So it was just it was interesting that these are the guys. I don't know if there's anybody else out there, but it was interesting choices, and I think overall it worked out. It was just interesting how it all kind of played out. Hitting on his key players this week. I'm giving it to Bobby Witt and Acuna because they're both were just incredible. Bobby Witt, 381, 435 with 4 runs, a double, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He tormented the Mets. And then Acuna is Acuna, 478 with 571, 6 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, a homer, 6 RBIs, 2 steals, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and a partridge in a pear tree. Holy shit. The least valuable hitters are going to be Jeremy Pena and Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham, 071 with a 188. He did have an RBI and 2 stolen bases, which is nice, 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. Whereas Jeremy Pena, 235 with a 409, a run and a double, 5 walks and 3 strikeouts. So the 5 walks helps with the 409 on base, but the rest of it wasn't very pretty. On the pitching side, the Cy Young is going to go to Chase Elseth because that was an incredible start. Despite the 2 homers, the 12 strikeouts was incredible in the 7 innings. And the Cy Young is going to be Ryan Richardson, but also David Robertson, who had been so good all year long. But this week, his first week with the Marlins, 2 innings, a loss, 2 homers, a walk, 2 strikeouts, an 18 and a 2 over 2 appearances. He's been better since then, but not a very good week. First week with the Marlins. So yeah, James now moves up a spot to 9th. Like you said, he's still in this thing, right? I mean, if we say that a team like me is still in this, then he has to still be in this, right?
That's 100%. 6.5 out of a playoff spot going into week 18. I think he would have signed up for that. With 5 weeks to play, it's anyone's game at this point. It's going to be an amazing finish. It really is. And I met with Mike Sherman for dinner this evening, which was nice. I hadn't seen him for over a year. And he wished the best to the league. And he said he hasn't really cracked the code. Like, what has he been doing wrong for this long? And I said, and he actually answered himself. He's like, I still haven't really figured out the bullpen thing, as far as some consistency in having that strong pen. But other than that, he's always had a pretty solid team that's been kind of a pain in the butt. And I'd say the only other thing that I'd say he could work on is that he's only using about 3 to 7 ads maybe a week. And 7 is like the very top. Like it's more closer to like something between like 3 and 5 per week. So if he was a little bit more aggressive, he probably could get another stat here and there. But it's basically the way he's been playing the game now since 2017. 2016 he won the championship, and I reminded him, like, listen, you are the last champion. He's in Joe and myself that's still in this league, so you got that. Like you have that. You'll always have that on this thing. So again, he wishes the best of the league. He loves being in it. And though he has another child, a third child on the way, and a full-time job, he wants in this league next year. He said, I'll be back. It's in the palm of my hand. Like I can still do it, as best as I can. And I said, look, as long as you continue to carry out your side of it, checking every day, make your 42 innings, that's all I can ask.
Yeah, and to your point about making ads, like we I'm looking at it, and he's made 46 moves this year,
the entire year,
which is the least of the league. That's lower than Ari, lower than Matt Losi. That's the least amount in the league by far, actually. Ari is the next lowest, and he's at 52. So it's a pretty good margin. So yeah, maybe next year, maybe being more aggressive, making more ads. He's hanging on to some guys that maybe you don't need to, and playing that bullpen game, like I said. But I mean, we talked about it. His team is annoying. It's dangerous, and he's gonna spoil someone's season for sure.
And that is what he said. He's like, I'll be a spoiler. Like I'll do that, and I'm like, I'm sure you will, man. And you have that opportunity this year, not this week against Christian, but he does have down the line. I think he has Frank in the final week. So that could be an annoying trap match for Frank. And as far as James McCloskey, His schedule finishes like this: Brian Lebo, Ari Nisman, Josh Haber, Matt Losey, and he finishes with Mike Haber. Well, besides having the Haber brothers, you got Matt Losey in the middle of that sandwich, Brian Lebo and Ari, the two bottom teams. And he's got the and oh yeah, and Twist and Trout. Okay, so he's got 3 out of the 4 bottom teams in the
Yeah.
final 5 weeks. I mean, you can't really ask for better. It is kind of set up for him to actually get in this year.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as he gets a little bit of help from the teams above him, if he can blow some of these guys out,
That's it. He's in.
He's in.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Incredible. Yeah.
All right. That's going to move us along to our next matchup, and that's going to be another big beatdown. Bobby taking a big 17-2 victory over Christian Wood. 17-2. It's what it is. Right? This is where we're at. Bobby needed this. He puts himself back up into 4th place, back well into that playoff hunt. What did you see here?
Well, I saw on Tuesday something very, very disappointing out of Christian, and I think it changed the entire mentality of this entire week. Um, if you can indulge me for a moment,
Yeah,
that
Tuesday.
was Tuesday is the trade deadline, right? So is that July 31st?
Yeah.
No,
No,
August 1st.
August 1st is
August 1st. You go down to his pitching here. We got Patrick Sandoval with 5 innings and a loss, a home run given up, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 360, and a 140. That's on the bench. Then you got Andrew Heaney, 6 innings, 1 win, 11 strikeouts, none earned, a 333 whip. He gets those 2 starts in. I mean, I get it, it's a loss, but that together is something like a 180 ERA if you combine them together with 14 strikeouts. Once he benches those guys, it changes the whole complexion of the week because now he has to make ads to compensate. They're not going to do that. And that was really the difference to me. I mean, at that point, he's playing from behind. And Bobby has had a habit of just dominating these weaker teams. He ripped the crap out of Matt Losey. I think he beat him like, what, 18-1 or 19-1, something like that. And this is a 17-2. So he's taken advantage of these very bad teams better than all the rest of us have. He's had the best wins against those 2 guys. So I give him credit there, but this is more just the poor management or lack of consistent eyeballing on your lineup on the day. This was clearly Christian not making the decision not to start these guys. He didn't check the team this day, and it's happened a couple of days this week. But yeah, I mean, you can tell because like someone like Tommy Edman had been activated, and even though he went 0 for 3, like Adam Frazier didn't start that day, so like that's a guy you could have put in there. So it was coming pretty often in the week that there was inactivity.
And like for me, like I I know everybody's different, but I know like when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do, I check my team, and I at least put the pitchers who are starting in the rotation, and then
you want to say you believe in that day.
Yeah, and then I'll once I get into the day, I'll figure out if I want to bench somebody or not. But like as far like the hitters, you kind of wait until the lineups come out. You can kind of play with that as the lineups come out. But the pitchers are the pitchers. Like if you're like, and on a Tuesday, you can't tell me this is strategy, especially like against the White Sox. Like, okay, maybe you don't want to start Sandoval against the Braves, sure, but you're going to start Heaney against the White Sox. So yeah, this was definitely an oversight, not checking the lineup. That's a shame. On Sunday, let's see what happens on Sunday. It was 15-3 coming in from Saturday. Bobby untied strikeouts. Christian struck out 9 times. Bobby only struck out 2, so he took that category. And the Bobby also flipped on base percentage to make this a 17-2 win. Close categories. Bobby wins by 2 saves and walk allowed. And Christian wins by a home run batter and 3 losses. They tied in triples and errors. All right, on Bobby's bench, he goes 12 for 37.
Oh. 327.
324. Dude, I'm telling you, and like you're like right there. You're like like this is darts. You would win. 324, 7 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, 4 steals, a walk, 6 strikeouts, and an error. The homers, he left 3 on the bench. He only needed 1 of them to tie. Kind of tough to get him in. He had trouble figuring out Anthony Volpe and Willie Adames, it looked like. But, what can you say? Again, like in your matchup, you're kind of nitpicking on a 15 category win. So it is what it is. His moves this week, he drops Brandon Belock and Andrew Painter and Zach Neto. He picks up Johan Oviedo, 7 innings, a win, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 1.29 and a 1.14. He drops good friend Jonathan Heasley for Josh Winkowski, an inning and 2/3, a strikeout, 0.60 whip, and a relief appearance. He drops Oviedo for Emilio Pagan, 2/3 of an inning, 150 whip, and a relief appearance. And he picks up Adrian Hauser, 6 innings, a win, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 150 and a 1 whip against the Pirates, and then drops that guy. That's it. 4 moves, 2 starters, 2 relievers. That's it. His key players this week, holy shit, Jeimer Candelario, 714 with a 778, 6 runs, 3 doubles, 2 RBIs, a steal, 4 walks, and an error. I mean, and this was a full week. Like, he played and he still hit over 700. I don't know how you do that.
It sounds like this guy might have been player of the week, like in baseball potentially.
I mean, he if he wasn't, I don't know who was, because holy shit. I mean, he changed teams in the middle of the week because he got traded from the Cubs to the Nationals, but like 4-4, 4-for-5, like he killed it. 2-4. He killed it this week. Absolutely. The guy who didn't kill it though was Harrison Bader, a 143 with 200, a run, 2 doubles, a walk, and 3 strikeouts.
That's bad.
On the pitching side, yeah, it is bad. And the Yankees almost traded this guy, and they did not, and so now they have to hang on to that. For his pitching side, welcome back Max Fried, 6 innings, a win, nothing earned, 8 strikeouts, and 0.50 whip. And the Cy Young is going to be Brooks Raley, who is, I guess, now the de facto closer for the Mets, but he was not good. Where is Brooks Raley? There he is. The only appearance, 1/3 of an inning, a loss, 27 and a 6. He was not good. Aaron Nola wasn't great with the 844, but he struck out 8. Bobby pitched to a 313, so he pitched really good this week. So it was kind of hard to find somebody who really, shit the bed. All right, for Christian on his bench, he goes, well, here you go, 5 for 15.
Let's stay at a perfect score. It's 333.
Bingo. 3 runs, a homer, 5 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and an error. All 5 of the RBIs would have tied the category. That's the only thing that plays. Honestly, I don't even know where they came from, but that's it. It's the only thing that plays. He did make 3 ads this week. He dropped Cody Bradford for John Curtis, an inning, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 2 whip, and a relief appearance. He picks up Scott Alexander for an inning, 1 whip as an opener, and he drops Luis Matos for Drew Smiley, 4 2/3, 3 homers, 7 strikeouts, 964 and a 129 against the Reds. 3 starters, 3 moves, 1 starter, 1 reliever, 1 opener. His key players, this hurts, but it's going to be Juan Franco as MVP, 360 with a 407, 5 runs, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a costly error, but the rest of the week was really good for him. Not so much for Jose Abreu, who's back to slumping, it seems like. 091 with a 200, just 2 runs, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts. The Cy Young, well, I guess we're giving it to Andrew Heaney, and it definitely would have been Andrew Heaney if he had started him on Tuesday. But he still got 5 2/3 with a win, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, nothing earned in a 106. So he had a really good week. He only just pitched him for one of the starts. And the Cy Young is going to be Mitch Keller, 5 innings, a loss, a homer, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 1440, and a 240 whip. So with this giant win, Bobby is right back in the things, and he's got let's see, what does he have here? Costas this week. It's gonna be interesting to see how Bobby does. Where are you on Bobby?
No, like I said, with the four of us and Mike, myself, Bobby, and Henry fighting for the top 2 spots, I'm sort of inclined to say that the four of us are in, though uh, I kind of feel like because those two guys' schedules and Henry and Bobby are tougher than mine, they're playing a lot of the guys that are competing for the playoffs more so than I am. So I feel like I'm in better shape, not to mention I think I'm a couple of stats ahead of them right now going into this week. So I'm in a better spot. So, and I've already kind of felt like I punched my ticket. Mike Haber has as well. No one's really safe when you got 11 teams over 500. But if I had a gun to my head, I'd say the four of us are in. And there's something that just tells me that Joe is in there as well. Like just knowing Joe and that he does have Matt Losi this week, that he has Christian on the final week. He does have to face Mike Haber, you, and Bobby before all that happens. But it still seems like to me that he'll be in as well, and that just leaves one spot. Whether it's you, whether it's McCloskey, whether it's Josh Haber, Hostis, Adam Lowenstein. I know I'm forgetting somebody.
Frank.
Frank, right? So
Yeah.
it really could just be anybody at this point. And yeah, I guess that there is still that chance that Bobby and Henry get bounced, throughout all this chaos. But it's going to be an amazing ride for sure. And if I had to guess, I'd say Bobby is in there. You know how much he's been grinding it this whole season. How much I get text messages consistently from him, from his frustrations, things that he can't believe just happened, that it happened for his opponent on his side. So I know for a fact that he's so passionate about this. He wants this so badly. And that already tells me that he feels like it's right there. And this year, he's not going to let it slip away. He let it slip away in 2021. He let it slip away last year. And it's been since 2019 when you were in the playoffs as well. That was the last time that Bobby was in. And he's been in this league since 2018. He's got one playoff appearance. So he's hungry this year. He wants it badly.
Yeah, I saw it live at Coney Island. We were walking along the boardwalk, and he's wondering whether he needs to start Lance Lynn or not. And he's So yeah, you're absolutely right. I feel like everybody here is all 11 teams. We're all hungry. We all want it. We're all like just staring at the matchups, going, "What do we do next?" And again, 4.5 weeks left now at this point, and it's all coming down. It's all coming down. Speaking of which, let's get to our final matchup of the week. And I don't know if I'm saving the for last, but I'm saving me for last. It's gonna be let's see, me taking a 13-8 loss against Costas here, and yeah, this was rough. Let me pull it up here. Here we go. So yeah, what did you see here in this tough batting guys?
It's surprising that you had such a great start with the pitching. You had a no hitter. Right? How often do we even see that? But yeah, Valdez throws the no hitter. You're doing great on the pitching. I feel like you had this in hand, and something happened down the road, like down later on in the week, where Costas just kept grinding and fighting back. And I don't know. He did win he won the majority of the offensive stats. So right there, he was in good shape. Um, but I guess a 4-1 between the wins and losses. To have a 4-1 did not leave you a lot of margin for error. And amazingly, he wins WHIP here 1.15 to a 1.31. He gets 27 relief appearances. Jeez. Like I
Yeah,
had 22 last week, and I thought that was a lot. 27, my God. He was just like full of them and 9 saves. 9 saves. Yeah, like Bob texted me yesterday. He's like, really? 4 saves in 2 days? I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's how his team is built. But he's built himself a really good bullpen. And yeah, this offense seems to be clicking. He batted 307, man. That's gonna be tough to beat on any week.
yeah, and it basically this to me like the whole week was a big game of anything you can do, I can do better, and that because I felt like I had a good week. My pitching was strong, my offense was strong,
Yeah.
just none of it was strong enough
Yeah.
because he was just that much better. He was just that much better in almost every
Everything.
category.
Everything
It,
basically.
yeah, and it was so frustrating because like relief appearances because like I tried to keep pace with him with relief appearances, and by Thursday I was just like fuck that I'm not catching up
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew I didn't need innings. I knew I didn't need strikeouts. All right, I mean, eventually I did need strikeouts, but like
Yeah.
I was playing it because I think on Monday I threw like 30 innings or something like that on Monday. So like I was set and I could just kind of watch the rest of the week. And all I did was watch him creep closer and closer and everything. And I'm like, wait, hold on, what's going on here? And yeah, he played the week really, really tough.
Yeah, no,
Um,
his management has been based on like the roster that we all like kind of poo-pooed and if you look at his draft, we'll talk about how he missed on this like about like 8 picks in a row, are not good players. He's
yep.
managed the shit out of his roster this year. Like it's just been really, really impressive. When you had decided fuck that on relief appearances, where did you start to delegate your acts? Where did you go in that direction? Like, what direction did you decide?
It was really like it was starters. Like I picked up Lance Lynn during the week. I picked up Jordan Westberg, so I went for some hitters. And then really just started looking towards this coming week. I picked up Garrett Whitlock on my IL, and we'll get into all the ads, but it was just I didn't even use all 12 this week, so
Wow.
that tells you something.
Yeah,
Where it was kind of like at some point I was like, okay, I get it. I don't need to do anything. um, let's look at it real quick. On Sunday, Costas hit 4 doubles on Sunday and had 4 RBIs to win those categories. I did take on base percentage. That was tight all week long, but he dropped 15% on base, so I picked that up. That was it. That's the only thing that changed on Sunday. The close categories, he wins by 3 doubles. He wins by 2 homers, 2 RBIs, an error, and a loss. I win by a steal, 4 ticks on the on base, and 3 strikeouts by a batter, and we didn't tie in anything. For Costas on his bench, Ben, he goes 5 for 19.
on. Um, 267.
263. You're right there.
Yeah.
4 runs, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 4 steals, 4 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The steals, he only needed one of them to tie. So he had on the 5th, Michael Garcia was on the bench with 2 stolen bases, while Spencer Steer went 0 for 4. And on the 6th, he had Jake McCarthy on the bench with 2 steals, while Giancarlo Stanton went 0 for 4. So either of those two would have flipped that category. I am happy that I won steals because I know that steals is something that I don't feel like I punted it, but I know trading guys like Estieri Ruiz kind of, made stolen bases not as easy to come by as they were earlier for me in the season. So I'm glad to have at least won that category.
Yeah, and especially against a team that builds his team on speed every single season. Like he's all about like speed. If you get stolen bases, you're that much closer to scoring a run. You got a chance of that triple, doubles, little like pesky hits that are singles for most people. A fast guy can turn it into a 2-bagger. And not to mention, hey, you traded for Jazz Chisholm. He gets you a steal this week. That's the difference between tying the category and winning it.
Yep. For his moves this week, he used 5. He didn't use any until Thursday when he dropped Trevor Stephan for Bryce Terang, who of course goes 3 for 5 with 2 runs, a homer, and 3 RBIs. Like I would have picked him up and he would have gone 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts.
Yeah,
but
I know that. I know.
That's just how it feels. And then he drops Terang for Trevor Stephan, who gives him an inning, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. So, yeah, he didn't even hang on to the guy. Drops Reed for Austin Cox, who didn't come in. He drops Kendall Graveman for Mason Miller, who is on the IL, and then he dropped that guy the same day for Freddie Furman, who goes 2 for 4 with a double. So, and that's it. That was his. It was 5 ads, 2 hitters, a starter, a reliever, and this guy Austin Cox, who I don't know what he is. That's it, and that's all he needed to do. And he won this week. I was pulling my hair out trying to figure out what to do, and he just kind of coaxed and just sat there and picked up Bryce Terang. For his key players, well, of course, his MVP is Freddie Freeman because why not? 500 with a 536, 8 runs, 5 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 3 steals, and 4 strikeouts. Fuck that guy. And also fuck Willie Castro for having the only triple of the matchup.
Oh.
The least valuable hitter, I guess it's Tatis, who only hit 077 with a 143, but he still scored 3 runs, a double, a homer, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So, even he contributed, and he didn't really hit for much. Lourdes Gurriel hit 417. JT Realmuto, who he was hurt at the start of the week, and I was really hoping that he would stay hurt, and he did not stay hurt. For his pitching, his Cy Young, I guess we're giving it to Kyle Finnegan. 5 innings, a win, 3 saves, a walk, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned, 060 whip over 5 appearances. The guy pitched 5 times in 1 week and was just absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Bad. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. And of course, Alzolay, I traded to him. It wasn't great, but 2 saves. Jordan Hicks, I dropped and he picked him up. He's now the closer of the Blue Jays while Romano's out. So yeah, I'm regretting some of these things. His Cy Young is going to be Alex Cobb, 11 1/3 over 2 starts, 5 homers, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 6.35 and a 115. For me on my bench, I go 2 for 12.
1 for 6. 188, 183.
It's 167. It's 166.
Yeah,
6
repeating.
Yep. A run, a double, a triple, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. The triple came on Sunday. It was a pinch hit triple from Dalton Varsho. I didn't start him. I could have because I didn't have another catcher. But I don't love starting guys who aren't in the lineup because
Yeah,
chances are they're going to come in from. Yeah,
I was going to say when on base percentage is that close, you're more than likely taking an 0 for 1. And you were probably just looking at how tight that stat was. I wouldn't have
exactly.
started him. I wouldn't have started him either.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel
Who
better.
Thanks. Yeah, so much better. I mean, because again, how are you predicting a pinch hit triple from Dalton Varsho? Like, it's just not something you can shoot for. So it is what it is. My moves this week: I dropped Tyler Rogers for JoJo Romero, an inning, 2 strikeouts, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. I dropped Genesis Cabrera for Colin Holderman, an inning, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 2 whip, and a relief appearance. I dropped Luis Garcia. You're welcome. And Noah Syndergaard for Zach Geloff, who I benched, and I never ended up playing this guy. He's a second baseman for the A's, and he was getting hot, and then he kind of cooled off, so I never actually started him. I dropped him and JoJo Romero. I picked up Jonathan Loizaga for the IL spot. He's now back. I picked up Dylan Floro, an inning, a strikeout, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. And I picked up JD Davis, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. I picked him up late on, what was that, Thursday, because I wanted another hitter, and Wilmer Flores was out of the lineup, and they were facing a lefty, or they were facing a righty, so I felt like he was going to get a good hit, and didn't happen. Dropped Holderman for Lance Lynn. More on this guy in a second. Dropped JD Davis for Jordan Westburg, 2 for 3 with 2 runs, a homer, 3 RBI, 2 walks. I dropped Robert Suarez for Andrew Chafin, an inning, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 2 whip, and a relief appearance. And then I added Garrett Whitlock on Sunday for my IL spot. 10 ads, 3 hitters, 1 starter, 5 relievers, and Garrett Whitlock, because I don't know what he's going to be. For my key players, my MVP is going to be Julio Rodriguez, 345 with a 406, 5 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 7 RBIs, 3 steals, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts, and the error, not great, but he seems to finally be back to, kind of what I was hoping to get from him all season long. The least valuable hitter, I was told Pete Alonso. I'm going to give it to – it's Pete Alonso and Chaz. Chaz McCormick, who have been really good for me, but the 10 strikeouts and the 158 isn't great. Pete Alonso, 250 with a 280, a run, 2 doubles, a homer, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. The Cy Young is Framber Valdez. I just want to call out that I now have a no-hitter and a perfect game pitched this season. So yay for me on that. And my Cy Young is going to be Andrew Abbott, who got torn up again. 9 innings over 2 starts, a loss, a homer, 8 walks, 8 strikeouts, a 10, and a 244.
Lit up again.
Yeah. I'm hoping he has another start coming this week against the Pirates, and that might be like kind of the make or break. We'll see how he does against the Pirates before I decide what to do with this guy. So I did pick up Lance Lynn earlier in the week with the eye towards pitching Sunday night, and he ended up going 6 innings, got the win, a homer, 2 walks. The 6 strikeouts is the key here. 150 and a 1 whip. But I remember I was sitting at dinner watching the matchup on the app, going like he only had like 2 strikeouts over the first like 4 innings or something like that, and I'm like, all I needed was, I think I needed like 3 or something like that. Yeah, I won by 3, so I needed 3, and I was like, just give me 3 strikeouts, god damn it. And
Yeah.
so he ended up getting the 6, which was gravy. But like, that's all I needed was some strikeouts, and I mean I got it, but it was nerve-wracking for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I've been there before on the that Sunday night game where all you need is like this much, and it's like it teases you, like it waits the last minute. You're like, come on, don't tell me he's gonna have a 2 strikeout game, and then they're gonna pull him in 5 innings or something.
Yeah. Especially it was his first start with the Dodgers. Like, you just didn't know, how it was gonna go. And of course, so I had him going, but Casas had Freeman, and he had like 4 guys going, or 3 or 4 guys going in that game. because he had Tatis and Freeman and JD Martinez all going in that game, and I had Ahmed Rosario, and so that like any chance that I had of doing something in that Sunday night game was just dashed because he had, two of the best hitters in baseball going in that game.
I'm trying to think of a good acronym that we should all come up with that stands for the statistic that you gain in that final Sunday night game. The way that you just got those strikeouts, the way I got that relief appearance, like when you're looking for something like that triple happens. I'm not sure if it should be like the SNS, the Sunday night stat, or that FGS, the final game stat, or LGS, the last game stat, like something that we can, as a group come up with, because there is something about that final game and needing that, and everything like kind of on that final game, and we're all usually watching that game because somebody, at least one or two of us, has something at stake in that Sunday night game.
Yeah, and I feel like the past few weeks, I don't know for sure, but I feel like I've had a guy going in the Sunday night game when my opponent didn't, and so I kind of controlled my own destiny there in that sense. This week was not the case because he had 3 hitters going, and there was nothing I could do. I only had one and Lance Lynn. There was nothing more I could do than what I had. So it was just kind of. It was deflating.
Yeah.
But I
But
do just
at least he didn't grab on base percentage with those hitters. Like that could have happened.
yeah. It could right. It could have been a lot worse. Because I think even Rosario, I think he did something in that game too, which helped. I think he may have even did he hit a home run that game?
I don't know. I was so angry at that point.
Yeah. He had a 2-run home run that game, so that did help.
Yeah, any
But
hit helps.
yeah, but look, all in all, I gotta give my hats off to Costas. He again, it was anything I did, he did that much better, and he won it. Like I feel like he won it more than I lost it.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially when you're talking about him making what 4 or 5 ads the entire week, and it started on Thursday. Like the fact that he had to do very little and still managed to beat you by 5. Yeah, it's just very impressive. The rest of his schedule goes as such. It's Bobby this week. Then he gets a bit of a cookie with Christian Wood in week 19, and then Mike Sherman in week 20, Frank in week 21, and Henry in the final week. Dude, he's got Christian and Mike Sherman back to back. And I had said a few weeks ago that this was one of the easier schedules down the stretch. Having those 2 guys in a row, where I don't know if any one of the teams going for the playoffs actually get that benefit. Maybe Frank does still get to play those 2 guys, but not in that order. So Costas is in good shape, the same way James McCloskey is in good shape here. Like he's set up. Like, yeah, I mean, Bobby's a tough customer. Yeah, he does have to play Frank and Henry to finish the season when those 2 guys will be going for spots. Like that's not ideal, but it's in his grasp here, and it will be kind of a heartbreaker if he's not able to pull this one off.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch. I think that Henry Costas match at the last week is going to be must see TV.
Must see.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yep. And then how about your schedule? How you feeling about it? We know that you and I go toe to toe in the final week, but prior to that, the 4 weeks.
Yeah. So I got Frank this week, Henry, Joe, Adam, and then you. Yeah, having Joe and you in my final 5 weeks is not a cakewalk. I'm not looking forward to that, but I feel like if I can, mitigate something there and maybe get a good win against, Adam and Frank, maybe there's still a chance. But look, again, like I said last week, I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to keep fighting. And if I make it in, I'll throw a parade. If I don't, I've had a great season and I'm happy, and I'm, it's the bigs. It's the fucking bigs.
Yeah, it's been a fun season. You've had a really, really interesting one as far as streaks. You had a really awesome win against James McCloskey in week 8, a 15-6. That was probably your best. Oh, then you got 15-5 over Mike Haber in week 13. Like that was actually probably your best.
Yeah.
And in these final five, Frank, Henry, Joe, Adam, and then me, they're not going 0-5 to finish the season. Like a win is gonna happen, like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. If you're not making the playoffs, you could be spoiling someone's season, and that will be your story. We'll remember that.
And you know what? When all's said and done, I'll be happy with that. I did the best I could, and we'll see what happens. We still got 4.5 weeks, so we'll see where it all plays out. Shall we move along to our managers of the week?
Okay.
What you got for number 3, Ben?
All right. So I feel bad because I am gonna have to omit someone because there were a lot of good managers this week. So spoiler, sorry, Mike. Like Mike Haber had a really, really impressive week. The way that he kind of closed it out on Frank, making it a double up, only using 6 ads, very impressive. But like we talked about in the previous show, a lot of the stats were based on Frank kind of kicking himself on decisions that he made, his bench, where his ads went. So that's the only reason I feel bad that I have to omit Mike. But anyway, my number 3 is Bob Rousseau. Yeah, we talked about how it's not the easiest of not the most challenging of opponents, I should say, in Christian, but he did capitalize on it, and he took advantage. And there were decisions made late in the week where I think he helped and made his luck even better and turned this into a plus 15, tied with the best win of the week. So I give him a lot of credit here. So Bobby is number 3 for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little off norm here, and I'm gonna give number 3 I'm gonna give it a 4-way tie because I see. You know what? I'm
Just
doing
give it
it.
a
I'm
one
doing
damn
it.
guy. One damn
No,
guy.
because you know what though?
Format pictures.
Because I see 4 managers who blew out their opponent, but didn't really have the toughest of opponents to blow out. So I kind of loop. Fine, you want me to give it to 1? I'll give it to 1.
Yes, I do. And then you can tell us
Okay.
why those other 3 guys are great.
Yeah, I give it to you then, Ben. Because
Thank you.
we talk about how there was you made it happen. You made it happen. You missed out on the Chris Taylor 4 walks, but it didn't. Other than that, like everything was beautiful. Luis Garcia pick on Sunday was perfect. The bluffs, everything was really. I think he did was magic. So I had to give it to you again. We talked about Brian Little is he's had a rough season. The offense is just not there. He made the moves. He made you work.
He plays the game.
You made it happen.
Yeah. No, he still plays the game. So yeah. I appreciate it.
He absolutely does. Look, Ashby and Henry, I looped them all together because again, they had big wins over guys who you have to have a big win against, at this point in the season, and they all did. So for various reasons, however it played out, the score is the score, and all the guys are fighting for a playoff. So I give it to you, but my shout out to those 3 guys. Who's your number 2, dude?
We just brought him up. I'm sorry to say, Jason. Number 2 for me is Costas. Yeah, the limited amount of ads, having to fight off a no-hitter, an extremely challenging manager, fighting for a playoff spot as well, and he just had you in check the entire time. And yeah, winning all the stats the way he did, very close. 27 relief appearances, like what the actual. I mean, that's really, really tough. I don't know if anyone had 27 relief appearances this week. Yeah, Costas has to be number 2 for me.
Yeah. My number 2, I am going to give it to Mike. I know that Frank's moves helped in the score, what being what it was. But I have to give him credit for doubling up still a tough manager in Frank,
Yes.
keeping the number one seed locked up,
Yeah.
and I know he's got a lot going on in his life personally, and to be able to still make the moves, make the lineup moves, and hang on to number one. I had to give him credit. So well done, Mike
No.
Haber.
And six ads to do it the way he did with just six ads. It's really, really impressive
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. All right, sir. Who you got for number one?
Number one to me is Adam Lowenstein. It's a no-brainer. I mean, this is as hard as he's worked basically all season. You want to criticize Ari Nisman, the way he's played the game this year, or how he plays the game, how his style of management, whatever. Like Ari Nisman has beaten Mike Haber. He's beaten Frank Bucco. He's beaten Mike Sherman 14-5. Like he's beaten Joe Schubert in week one, 13-8. So it's not like he's just a layup. Adam Lowenstein punched himself into a playoff race. 9 games over 500 when he was 2 under or 3 under going in, something like that. Um, oh yeah. But anyway, it's about the most impressive comeback into a playoff race that I can remember. As far as a guy that we just left for dead, and now we say like, oh, this guy has to be considered a part of that, especially because he's got Josh Haber this week. And he's got Bobby in the final week. So, like, he's playing against guys that he's competing with for that spot. If he wins out, if he wins 5 in a row here, you got to think maybe this guy ends up finding his way in. So, just the fact that there's been like this never say die, like continuing to play attitude and then stomping out a plus 14, that's what I acknowledge here.
Yeah, yeah. Make excellent points. I'm gonna go my number one, and maybe but he out of his way. Like, I did. He just did that much better, and it was so hard. It was hard to mount anything because everything I didn't matter because he was just that much better. And now he's sitting there. He's in seventh place. He's right there in the middle in that Bob spot that we've called it, and he's tough. He's tough. I don't. I feel like he's easy. I feel like he's kind of easy to sleep on. And then all of a sudden, there he is just whacking in the face with 27 relief appearances, and you're like, oh, he's good. And here he is. So I have to give credit to Costas. Again, maybe it's because I was the victim of it, but well done, Costas Peragus.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, he's easy to sleep on, like you said, and the fact that we talked about it again and again, what a disappointing draft he had, and regardless of that, with the ads that he's made, and I mean, even if you look at his team right now, like he's still throwing Stanton out every single day, like, and that guy's been basically in 0 for 4 a lot of the time. Like he keeps on pushing him out there. There's the occasional 2 walk day. There's the occasional home run day. And like, fine, if he's like the 8th best hitter in his lineup, that'll work because you got Freddie Freeman, you got Fernando Tatis. Like you've got a core that you can work around. And I think that he's built himself a very solid core with arguably with Henry, the best bullpen in our entire league, and enough rotation pieces that he's going to give anybody a fits. So yeah, it's a good call for number one, and yeah, I had him as number two. So still a lot to do in the last 5 weeks. It's going to be challenging, but he's got to be
Absolutely.
considered here, and there's also, when I talk to him, and I'll get to see Costas tomorrow. He's coming over for lunch. But there's a confidence, I'll beat that guy. I'm not going to put out names. So when I text with him, he's like, I'll beat that guy, and it's just
Yeah.
like, okay. And sometimes he does, and sometimes he doesn't. But like there is a confidence, arguably a cockiness that goes
Yeah.
along, a swagger, a maturity. And yeah, he's been in our league since 2020. Like he started in that short year, that 6 week season, whatever. But 2021, a finalist. 2022, a very disappointing year. He bounces right back here in 2023 and makes it a year to potentially remember for a long time if he can continue this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be a year to remember for a lot of us because even the ones that don't make it of this globe of 11 teams, of us who don't make it, it's been just a real fun ride. And I know I know even if I don't make it in, my head's gonna be held high because we're in week 18 and we're still talking about playoffs for 11 teams. So there's something to be said about that. And I'm honored, I'm excited, and I can't wait to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, me too. In fact, I couldn't resist yesterday on the train, and I decided to shoot an email to Uncle Barry, and I screenshotted a picture of the standings, and I wrote in the subject, "Ever been this many teams over 500 this late in the season?" And he could appreciate it. And, I had to tell him who's who, and because he can just see the team names, he doesn't know who's who. But it was just like,
Right.
wow, like there was the guy that, the new rookie that was having a bad year. And I'm like, yeah, look, now he's jumped 3 teams. He's in it now. And this everybody is so greatly smushed together at this point. Like you can't help like even if you're a Brian Lebo who's so passionate about this league, who every single season, on in 2021 and 2022, he would send on the message board or send his personal text and saying like, "Good luck, gents," like the guys who made it into the playoffs, because he acknowledges how hard the work is, how much we're putting into it each day to get to that point. And I think it's going to be a show for anyone that doesn't make the playoffs to see who the hell is coming out of it this year. It's going to be an amazing finish.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Until then, guys, it's real fun, and it was always real fun. The bigs. We'll see you next time, guys.